Hello and welcome to Lord of the Board. My name is Sam Smith, and today we are going to be doing an overview and strategy guide for Gaston in the brand new Disney Villainous set, Despicable Plots. I'm going to start off by explaining Gaston's goal in the game. How does he win? He has to remove all 8 obstacle tokens. Basically, thematically, what you're doing is you're removing the obstacles in order to convince Belle that you are the perfect man for her. And so you're going to be doing that using all these different types of cards, whether it's allies or effects, and we're going to be going through those here in a little bit. But first off, the first thing you're going to want to do for your setup is you're going to want to put those obstacle tokens in the empty spaces on your board. Once you have put those obstacle tokens on the board, you are ready to play the game. Now, we are going to look through Gaston's cards, the 4 locations in his realm, and then at the end of this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips and strategies that will help you improve your gameplay with him. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into the guide. Now, first off, we've got the 1 power cost ally card, Monsieur Dark. And when you pay 2 power to activate him, you're able to remove an obstacle token. When you get this card in your hand, go ahead and play it because luckily none of the fake cards in your deck are able to remove an ally from your realm, so you're pretty safe having him out at any point in the game. In fact, the earlier you have him out, the better, because you're going to want to be able to remove obstacles, as that is your goal to win the game. And then we've got the 2 power cost, 2 strength card, Lefou, who is obviously Gaston's main sidekick. Now, when performing a vanquish action in Lefou's location, all allies are returned to your hand instead of the discard pile. Now, this is a really good ability, especially because movement with your allies is actually super tricky with Gaston. He doesn't have any move item or ally ability. So in order to get your allies back into your hand and be able to replay them later is going to be essential with Gaston's play style. So Lefou, another great card, and once again, get him on the board and just try to ensure that you make some use out of him. And then we've got the Wolves. Now, these are a 1 power cost ally card with only 1 strength. However, their ability is amazing. The Wolves can gain 1 strength for every other wolf card in play. This means that they will gain an extra strength no matter what location any of these wolves are at. If you have 2 on the board, each one has 2 strength. If you have 3 on the board, each one is 3 strength. And what I like to do is I like to put 1 at each separate location. Only do I pile them when I desperately need to defeat a fate card, because you've got 4 of these in the deck, so having 1 at each location would essentially give you 4 attack strength at every location. So we've got the 2 power cost mob card. You only got 1 of these in your deck. They are only 2 power cost, but have 4 strength. Super good at removing higher strength fate creatures like, say, Maurice's Invention or the Beast himself. Now, we have only got 1 item card in Gaston's deck, and that is 5 dozen eggs. Now, this is a 4 power cost card that allows you to attach it to an ally, giving that ally +2 strength. Now, this is mostly to be used if you absolutely have no way of moving around your allies that you already have, but you desperately need to deal with a fate. So this does come in handy, but not very often. So I would say usually you're pretty good to just go ahead and discard this, cycling through your deck for things that are going to help you remove obstacles off your board. Now, the first effect that we are going to discuss is the 1 power cost card, Time to Follow Me. Now, this is one of the only ways that you're actually able to move allies around. So these 2 cards matter a lot more than you would think. In fact, these are cards that I have a hard time discarding throughout the game for fear that a fate card is played in a location that I can't move one of my allies to without Time to Follow Me. So you need Gaston's courage in order to swarm from the mob, in order to control the wolves, in order to get Lefou over there, Monsieur d'Arc. I mean, all of these cards need time to follow me to get to where you want them to go. So this is a very important effect card, and it's one that you definitely need to think twice before discarding. Keep on to it, and it will come in handy when you need to defeat a fate card that you had no other way of getting to. Now, Belle is Mine is a 1 power cost effect card that allows you to just straight up perform a vanquish action. This can be handy in a pinch, but more often than not, you'd rather just use the vanquish action available to you and not spend the extra power on the card. Now, Swoon only costs 1 power, but you do have to place an obstacle back on your board in any of the empty slots that you choose. Then you can either gain 3 power, or you can draw 3 cards. And I have found myself often going on the 3 cards route because I like to have a lot of different options in my hand. And if you are on a discard spot, this is a really quick way in order to gain a lot of cards and discard a lot of cards to try to cycle through your deck. Now, Intimidating is a 1 power effect card that allows you to reveal cards from the top of your villain deck until you reveal an ally. Then place that ally in your hand and go ahead and discard the rest of the cards. Now, the reason why I wouldn't use this all the time is that there are cards that are very important, and sometimes discarding those, you don't really have an answer to get them out of your discard pile except for going through the whole deck. Therefore, I would definitely refrain from using this unless you have already drawn the cards that remove obstacles out of your deck, which I'm going to go into in just one moment. Hunter's Instinct is a 3 power cost effect card that allows you to defeat a hero with a strength of 3 or less, and believe it or not, that is actually most of the fate cards that are going to come out, so this card can be very, very helpful. However, I will say that at the cost of 3 power, you definitely want to use this card sparingly, and it must be an important decision in order to have the hero removed, because with Gaston, all the power that you can get counts. So we're going to start with the 0 cost Take Me Instead card that allows you to reveal cards from your fate deck until you find a hero. Then you play that hero to Beast's Castle and you remove 1 obstacle. Now, seeing as this card is free, this is one that is definitely a good one to use at literally any time, especially if there's already a hero at the castle. Now, Show Me the Beast is a very unique card, and it's mostly just a discard and get out of the way. But under certain circumstances, you can remove an obstacle, and that is only if the beast is in play. Because if Belle is in play, then you have to replace an obstacle. If both the beast and Belle are in play, then you just gain the power that you spent by using the card. Therefore, it's just kind of a throwaway, play a card, get it out of your way anyways. So it's kind of just going to be used as cycling. But if just the beast is on the board, great card, remove an obstacle. And I'm just going to clump the next 3 effect cards together because they all essentially do the same thing at different prices and different amounts. We have got Temper at 2 power, which allows you to remove 1 obstacle anywhere in your realm. We've got the 3 cost Come Into the Light card, and you've got 2 copies of these. This allows you to remove up to 2 obstacles from a single location. And then we've got the 5 cost Get Out card, which allows you to remove 3 obstacles, and those can be from anywhere in your realm. And these 3 cards here are going to be the main way that you really take a chunk of those obstacles out of your realm as Gaston. And you only have 1 copy of Temper and Get Out and only 2 copies of Come Into the Light, so you can already see how important these cards are to you and how essential it is that you do not discard them, but that you have enough power to play them when you receive them. And unlike most Disney villains, we have got a interesting condition card that actually comes with 3 copies, and it is called Beautiful as Me. Now, during your turn, if another player takes 4 or more actions, you may play Beautiful as Me. You may remove 1 obstacle token. Now, my favorite thing to do is to have just 1 of these in my hand and only need to remove 1 obstacle left, and remove an obstacle before my opponent can do anything to stop me. However, that doesn't always come up. In fact, sometimes you'll look at your opponent's board and you'll see that they have a lot of heroes covering locations. Therefore, your opponent may not be able to use all 4 actions in their realm. So in that case, you might not want to hold on to it. But for the most part, especially earlier in the game, this is a great way to just get rid of an obstacle. And remember, you can play multiple condition cards at the same time. If you had all 3 of these in your hand and those conditions are met, play all 3 and remove 3 obstacles from your realm. And now that we are done discussing his cards, we are going to talk about the 4 locations in Gaston's realm, starting with Belle's house. Now, Belle's house has a vanquish action, a play a card action, a discard action, as well as a gain 1 power action. Now, this is a pretty important location for Gaston. It's definitely not the most important, but certainly not the least important. This is one of the 2 vanquish actions that you have in your realm, so having the top available isn't essential. However, using it as a discard spot will end up being very helpful if your other discard spot is covered. And then we've got the tavern. This is the only location in your realm that has an activate action. It gives you 2 power, allows you to play a card, and vanquish an opponent. And this is by far one of the best locations in your realm, as it is the only way that you can activate Monsieur d'Arc. So it is very important that you keep the tavern clear of fate cards. That way you can make use of his activate ability and are removing obstacles from your realm at a swift pace. Now, the woods allows you to play a card, discard cards, fate your opponent, and gain 2 power. This is probably going to be the second most common place that you are going to earlier in the game, this and the tavern. And that's just to be gaining consistent power, as well as making sure that you are discarding cards at least every other turn. And then lastly, we have got the Beast's Castle. This has 2 play a card actions, 1 fate action, as well as gain 1 power. And the Beast's Castle is definitely a little bit more situational. This is the only location that has 2 play a cards, therefore it's the only location that you can really do pretty powerful combos on, but it only gains you 1 power, so coming here is not so often unless you need to play a combo. And that is it for Gaston's realm. And now I am going to go ahead and give 3 tips and strategies to help you improve your next game as Gaston. Now, my first tip would be to remove obstacles from the tavern and the woods first before Belle's house and the castle. And the reason why I say that is because the Beast and Maurice are both hero cards that are going to be played into your realm at some point. And when they do, when you remove them from your realm, they actually clear out obstacle tokens in Belle's house and the Beast's Castle, respectively. So removing obstacles from the 2 middle locations first, with the anticipation of these eventually being placed into your realm, just saves you a lot of time and allows you to take full benefit of those fate cards. Now, a very important tip when playing Gaston is to clear out a location completely before moving on to a different location. And what I mean by that is, if you're taking 2 obstacles away, take them both away from 1 location instead of 1 away from 2 locations. You don't want just 1 obstacle removed on any locations if you can help it. Now, the reason for this is because the It Is You fate card is imminent, and this allows to replace 1 obstacle in each location. So if you've cleared out locations fully, then this will not have as large of an effect. And my last tip with Gaston is probably the most important one. As you have seen, Gaston runs heavily on a high power count, yet gaining power is kind of his biggest struggle while playing the game. Making small power purchases is okay, but you have to keep in mind that you have to be setting aside power tokens throughout your game, as those effect cards that remove obstacles from your realm take a lot of power. Playing Get Out and Come Into the Light can remove 5 obstacle tokens from your realm, but that's at the high cost of 8 power. Saving up the power and getting those effect cards in your hand, then playing them one turn after another is going to be a lot harder to stop, instead of removing some and then waiting a couple turns and then removing some more. In fact, the castle is such a good location, being the only location that you can play all 8 power and remove 5 obstacle tokens from your realm. So power plays and saving up power is crucial to winning as Gaston. And that is it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that once you get Gaston to the table, this helps improve your gameplay with him. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like it, as well as leave a comment down below as to which villain you are most excited to try out in the Despicable Plots box, as well as if you have any other questions, definitely leave them down below and I will respond to them. But that is it for Gaston. Thank you so much for watching, and with that, let's go ahead and drop the beat.